Hey guys, it's Faye from SolarFlow and I am back with another video. Today's topic is a deep dive behind the veil energy read on Elon Musk. Is he a dark hat member? Is he a part of the cabal? Is he some ruthless billionaire? Or perhaps is he a misunderstood creative genius? So if this sounds like an interesting topic to you, please stick around. And if not, I'll catch you at a different video. I think my Amazon package just came. That it is. Thank you. Okay, so Elon Musk. First of all, I just want to say that any information that I'm sharing, I'm not here to convince anybody either way, if Elon is a good guy, if he's a bad guy. I'm also not here to change anybody's mind about him. I know that he's like a really, really polarizing figure right now. I am just here to share the information as it came into me. How anybody chooses to receive it, that is on them. But I am not here to convince you in either direction. I am just sharing. Also, for anybody who is new here and doesn't know me, hi, thank you for being here. My name is Faye. I am a channeler. I am a remote viewer. I'm an energy reader. I'm an astral traveler. And I do not research my videos. So this is not a well-researched information video. If you want to know the genealogy of Elon Musk, you can go to Wikipedia for that. That's not me. But if you want to get an insightful, deeper understanding on an energetic level about who somebody is and what is motivating their actions in any particular lifetime, if you want to know who they were perhaps in a notable previous lifetime, I'm your jam. Just don't try to put me on bread. Okay, so Elon Musk. Very, very interesting about Elon Musk is that he actually had very, very many colorful and interesting previous incarnations. And those incarnations came to influence him on an energetic level in this incarnation as well. And what I mean by that is he was there, for example, at the fall of the Roman Empire. He was there at the destruction of Atlantis. He was in World War I on the battlefield looking around at the devastation and destruction of all of the other members of his, what are they called? His group or what, I'm not even sure. I know nothing about the army, if you can't tell. But all of the other soldiers that were part of like his platoon was there as he was seeing them all dying. He has had lifetimes where he was a mother who was giving birth to stillbirth after stillbirth and not able to have any living children. So he has had so many lifetimes of feeling disempowered. That's number one, of looking around and seeing all of the devastation that is around him. He has also been there as he has seen his friends and his neighbors making really, really bad choices about the things that they chose to give their time to, the activities that they would choose to participate in, and really was able to see through that lens, through all of these lifetimes, how things can go dark really, really fast. And also was his soul's acknowledgement that even though he was, let's say, not participating in these things, like he was in Atlantis, was he doing all of those questionable things that his neighbors may have been doing? No. Was he aware of it? Yes. Did he also understand how all of those things were contributing to the ultimate downfall of Atlantis? Yes. But he felt disempowered. He's like, I'm just one person, so I'm not engaging in these things. What can I do? So he was seeing all around him devastation, destruction, death, and very, very much was living in a energetic, disempowered state in all of those previous incarnations. And what was so interesting and how his energy came to me for this incarnation was that I was seeing him, like imagine a kid playing basketball, and he is watching his teammates playing, and it's like the last quarter of the championship game, and he wants to get in there, right? Maybe the team is down like 6 points, and this kid is the best 3-point shooter on the team. And he's tapping the coach, and he's like, "Coach, please put me in there. Let me play. I can nail those threes for the team." But it wasn't because he wanted to come in, because he just wanted to play in the championship game. It was he wanted to get in, and he wanted to contribute to the team's winning. And that is very much the way Elon's energy came through in this incarnation. He was tapping the coach's leg, and he's like, "Put me in, coach, put me in. I know that I can do this." And part of it was, first of all, this was his soul's arc and his soul's evolution. And what I mean by that was, he was in all of those previous incarnations, living a very disempowered life, watching devastation and destruction, losing people that he loved and cared for, watching the general decay in personal responsibility and in personal choices, watching all of that going on, and understanding it's not enough just to say, I wasn't participating in it, that he had to do something about it. So it was his soul's arc and soul's evolution to get to this point where he understood, yes, he is just one person, but he could make an impact. So that's why he was tapping the coach's leg, and he's like, "Put me in." He was seeing the writing on the wall because he had all of those previous lifetimes of seeing the writing on the wall and seeing how quickly things can turn to the dark, and also in seeing that he could make that difference. So he very much wanted to come in and contribute in any way that he could for Team Humanity. It wasn't like, I want to come in and I want to shoot those threes and I want to be the best, I want to be the MVP and I want to win it for the team. It was, no, what can I come in and help Team Humanity win? That is what he came for. This was his mission. This was his soul's purpose, to get him to step fully into his power and be like, yes, I'm only one person, I can contribute. Now, what was also shown to me was that he was going to have a very hard childhood in preparation, and to get him into a more warrior state of mind, so that way, as people's adoration of him would turn to hatred of him, he would already be built up against it and not take it personally. And it was so interesting because actually the way it was shown to me, and I don't know if anybody here has seen that TV show on Netflix, the OA. I don't even know how many seasons there are now. I think I've missed a bunch of them. But in the first season, the main character is on a school bus, and the bus crashes off of a bridge and goes into the water. And she is told that she will survive and she will live, but she's going to lose her vision, because what is going to happen over the next few years is going to be so devastating for her that they were protecting her by not giving her vision during that time. And as I was receiving this information, it was, and this show's a couple of years old now, but this memory of seeing this scene came back to me, and it was shown to me, it was like this, that he was going to come into this incarnation and he was going to have a hard childhood, but that was in preparation for the life that he was going to be living later on. And it was also just like that. Something was taken so that something could be given, but it was as a protective measure. So he was given this hard childhood, and I believe that he has actually said that he was abused by his father, and that I believe there was also a fair amount of verbal abuse. That was done in and it sounds crazy. How can somebody have abuse in their childhood as a protective mechanism? How is that even possible? But that is the way that it was shown to me. It was a protection for him, but not in that time and in that place. It was a protection for later on. So that way, when he had, let's say, gotten used to people loving and adoring him and being like, oh, your car is the best thing ever, and then suddenly, you know, he takes over Twitter, and you can look around and just see how the temperature has changed, and now he is like persona non grata. It was so that that would not affect him, because he would come to understand the moods of people around you are not a reflection of you yourself. So when people loved him, he knew not to take it personally. And now when people despise him, he also knows not to take it personally. But I also very much see him energetically removed from people. And what that means is there's a very sort of like unknowable quality about him. And on an energetic level, when I was reading him, I actually didn't receive the full picture of him in one sitting like I do for, I would say, every other channel that I've ever done. It took about, I think I started, let's say, channeling on Sunday. Now it's a Tuesday. So no, it was Saturday night. I started to look into his energy on Saturday night, and I got some of it. And then I was like, I know there's more, but it's not coming for whatever reason. I'm going to give it time. So then on Sunday night, when I was going through my routine, my nighttime getting ready for bed routine, I was just, I put on music, which for me, as I've shared, is a great way to start receiving information. It just changes my vibration and it opens me up. And then I was starting to get more downloads, quickly came, wrote it down. And then I was like, I think we're getting close to being ready. But then just this morning before I sat down to record, I was doing a session with a client. I went really, really well. So I stayed kind of in like the afterglow of the session, and I put on my meditation music, and then bam, it all came in, all of the rest of it. So his energy is very much like reserved. So imagine, for example, if you were going to visit, and why am I sharing this whole story? It's not just to make the video longer, right? Like if I'm sharing the information, it serves a purpose. So the purpose in sharing all of that was, imagine you're going to see a friend, but your friend lives like on the other side of the country, or not even the country. That's like a one-day journey. You're in LA, where I am, and you're going to visit somebody like in Australia. And I think like that's a 24-hour flight, right? So first you're gonna fly from New York to LA. Then you're gonna hop on a flight from New York to, let's say, I'm making this up, I have no idea. Then you're gonna fly from New York to London. Then you have to sleep. You're checking into a hotel for the night, right? Or maybe you checked into a hotel for the night in New York. Then you're gonna finally, from London, you're gonna fly to Australia. And it's like a full 24 hours or even 36 hours of travel. The further the distance somebody is from you, the more travel it's going to take before you can get to them. And that is very much the way Elon's energy is. It's removed from where we are, and that's why it took me multiple iterations to get the full picture of who he is. And then in this final push, in the final way that I was receiving the information, it was shown to me very, very clearly and very visually. Imagine a large mountain, but it's a habitable mountain. People can live on it. And there's different like levels of where the people are living. So there's people that are closest to the ground. There's like a little enclave of houses over there. And then a little bit higher up are more houses. And then a little bit higher up are more. And then finally, like closest to the top, or maybe even at the top, is one lone house. Elon is very much that one lone house at the top of the mountain. Now also think about it this way. think about when the person has the highest vantage point, what they are able to see and what the trade-off is with what they're seeing. So they can have a full view. First of all, maybe they're at the very, very tippy top and they have a full 360-degree view of all around them. But they're also to have a different vantage point of all of the people that are living below them. So first of all, they're able to see like who has a beautiful tended to garden, who has like the mangy, hungry looking dogs, who has the garage that's like dilapidated and falling down, who shoves things into the garage, or who like mows the lawn and like keeps everything nice and tidy. So when you're at that highest vantage point, you can see things in it really from a different, the way it really was just being shown to me is a different vantage point. It's not with arrogance. He doesn't have arrogance. He is very singularly focused on what he came here to do. So it's not with this sense of arrogance like, oh yeah, you're the neighbor with the dog that barks all the time. Or, oh, you're the neighbor with the house that's falling over, right? It's not like that. It's just an elevated vantage point. So because of that, he is very removed from everybody else. He is at the highest, most vantage point on the mountain. Now that may be a choice. The person who wants to live there, just on like a 3D level, it's very much where they are going to have the hardest time if they want to go to the store and get like a bottle of milk. They got to go all the way down the mountain. Then they got to go all the way into the closest town. So it's very much a choice that somebody is making. They're going to live in the place that involves the most effort to get to and the most effort to survive in. And that was the trade-off. You want to come into this life and make a contribution. It's not going to be an easy life for you. So that made me think, is he a starseed? Because I know for a lot of starseeds, they will have a harder go in particular incarnations. So I asked, is he a starseed? And I was told, no, he's not a starseed. He is just someone who had been sitting on the sidelines in one too many incarnations, watching the world fall apart around him and saying, till here but no further. I do not consent to sitting by idly as the world is destroyed around me once again. And no, I'm not saying that the world was going to be destroyed without Elon Musk. That's too dramatic. But that's also not the reality. It's just to say that yes, even one person can make a difference, even if their name is not Elon Musk. Tie that in perhaps to your own life. Okay, so let's also move on from there. So we actually discussed his difficult childhood. Okay, so I'm also saying that he is insanely, and these are the words that came in exactly, he is insanely and bizarrely bright. And that him being at the top of the mountain is very much influencing the way in which he views the world, because he has a different perspective from the people who are living at the bottom of the mountain. First of all, anyone who's at the bottom of the mountain, they cannot see any potential danger that is coming from all around. They are just at a, let's say, a disadvantaged viewpoint because of their location. So he can just see things from a different perspective. What was also so interesting about him, and this was one of the first things that I actually picked up on him, his energy is quite mercurial. And what I mean by that is his energy very much reminds me of the planet Mercury. And I actually did like months ago a post on my Instagram, which was planets as people. And I compared Elon Musk to Mercury. And here's for the reasons why. And there's a lot of astrologers that will do a way better job explaining it than I will. Some of them even watch this channel. And if if you're watching this, comment down below, because I know you're going to do a much better job of like explaining this. But Mercury is the planet of communication, and it's also the planet of travel. So communication, it's going to rule how we communicate with one another. So it could be email, it could be letters, it could be phone calls, it could be text messages, it could be social media. Travel, it could be boat rides, plane rides, cars, anything of that nature. And when it goes retrograde, which is when a planet is going retrograde, it appears to go backwards in the sky. It's not actually going backwards. It just means that our position here on Earth is elevating. Like imagine if you're on the freeway and you are just going very, very fast and a car behind you starts to slow down. It will actually look like his car has stopped in its entirety. It's just because the planet is slowing down. So that is what a retrograde actually is. And Mercury retrograde in particular, the funny thing about that is because Mercury is the planet of communication and travel, that is when you are likely to have breakdowns in those things. So that might be, for example, when you are having like travel delays, or you're having like technology breakdown, things like that. You might even change your mind. So and it's so funny, he actually remarried a woman that he had divorced. That is like, to me, so Mercury in retrograde. Like, I loved you, then I hated you, and now Mercury is in retrograde, so I'm going backwards and I'm reviewing the relationship and I love you again. Let's get married. It's just so retrograde-y, so Mercury retrograde-y. And if you look at all of the contributions that he has actually made in humanity, they are also very much connected to Mercury. So he was the founder, I think, was it PayPal? PayPal, one way of looking at it is the transportation of money from one person to another. It's electronic transportation of funds. He also is the founder of SpaceX. That is transportation into space. Then he is the founder of Tesla. That's physical, actual transportation in vehicles. And then, and this is where he's become vilified, it's he just actually bought Twitter, and that is communication. So he is such an interesting mercurial character. And for a lot of the time when I was thinking about channeling him, there was something very like almost not human about him. I'm not suggesting he's not human. I'm just saying there's something, and again, to me, it's that aloofness that I was picking up on. It's very much like the man at the top of the mountain, being separated and being aloof from all of humanity. That is, I think, what I was picking up on about him. Not that he's actually not human. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Very, very mercurial. And he is so also, Mercury is like, what are you thinking about? What are you focusing on? He can so singularly focus on what his goal is that he can stay connected to the task, and he can like just get through it in a way that a lot of other people wouldn't be able to. So like people get tired or they get hungry, or when he is in a task, he is singularly focused and devoted to it, that it's almost like the rest of the world starts to fall away, right? It's again, very much like the man at the top of the mountain, not aware of that there's like this world all around him. And what was also shown to me about him is he cannot stand a bad attitude. And actually a lot of the employees that got laid off at Twitter were employees that had a bad attitude and would be, I would say, more towards the toxic traits of millennials, which is, let's say, they complain a lot, they have a bad attitude, and they have a sense of entitlement. And those are very much like the things that he cannot stand. So those were the employees that he specifically wanted to get rid of. It's like, okay, what do you do here? And okay, what do you really do here? Oh, you're complaining about this? Okay, yeah, you're gone. So he really cannot, he doesn't have a lot of patience for those things. bad attitude and laziness and any sort of level of complaining. And again, it's because he's very, very singularly focused on what is the task at hand and just getting to it, and just, that's it. Just, I want to get from point A to point B. All of this other riffraff along the way is just, it's just a distraction from what I'm here to do. And again, that's very much connected to his soul's mission in being here. I am here to help save humanity from itself. And again, I know that's being a little bit on the dramatic side. Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger, God damn it. Okay. So he also can very effectively navigate the mercurial energy and mercurial minds of other people that are around him, because he understands that. If he grew up in an abusive home, you're not living in abuse 24/7, 365, right? There's periods of abuse, there's periods of good times, and then there's periods of just neutrality. So he very much understood none of those things have anything to do with him. His father could hate him and think he was like a little worm. That has nothing to do with him. His father could love him and be like, you're a great kid. That had nothing to do with him. It could be copacetic in the house. That also had nothing to do with him. So he's very adept at understanding and dealing with all of this mercurial energy around him. And again, that was because at some point, which is the point right now, where he was going to be vilified because he bought Twitter. Now let's break that down and dive into that a little bit more, because that's actually going to touch upon a lot of what I'm becoming aware of, which is people are saying he's part of a psyop. Number one, he's a psyop. Number two, he's in the cabal, or he's a dark cat. So let's talk a little bit about that. In everything, first of all, that I've shared up until now, like, he was not wanting to come into this incarnation with any ego attached to it. It wasn't like, put me in the game, coach, I want to make the winning shot. It was, put me in the game, coach, I've got the threes that this team needs to win. So he understood that he was coming in with a particular set of gifts, just like we all have our own particular set of gifts. This is his particular set of gifts. And he knew that he was coming in so that he can help with it. Now, let's say, for example, and I don't really understand the way that like a golf club or a country club works. I don't know if they're like one and the same. Like, maybe they are. I don't know. So maybe you know, and if you do, you can let me know down below how right or wrong I may be with this example I'm about to give. But this is going to kind of give you an idea of, was he in the club? Okay, so this is the example. Let's say there's a country club in someone's town, and when they reach a certain level of success in their town, right? So they buy like the little, they sell their little starter house, they move into the bigger house, then they become really successful and they trade up and they go into even the biggest house. The people in the town are going to notice, right? And they're going to start, going to nicer restaurants, whatever. They're rubbing shoulders with certain people. Someone says, hey, we're a member of the country club. We would love for you to join. And now that person gets to join the country club. Now, maybe they're on the grounds of the country club. They can eat there. They can play tennis there. But maybe there's like a gold members lounge. And they're not yet in the gold members lounge. But they're in the club. They're in the country club. They're using the grounds. It's kind of the same thing here. So as he was becoming more and more financially much more financially secure, and he was really starting to make it, the members of the club, again, he's going to nicer restaurants, whatever it is, they're starting to notice him. And they have invited him to be in the club. But it's not like in the music industry or the movie industry where he has to like sell his soul to the devil and to really join the club. This is like you can be in it because you have reached a certain level of success. He reached that certain level of success on his own. There's no gatekeepers to it. There are gatekeepers in other industries, but for his industry, there's no gatekeepers. So it's not like in order to be successful, he had to join the club. This is like, oh, you're successful, now we want you in our club. So he was, let's say, brought into it, and again, because he has this elevated vantage point, was able to really see what was going on, but he was not in it. And then again, that ties back to his incarnation in Atlantis, where he was, let's say, seeing, and he knew what his neighbors were participating in. And if you want to, I'm kind of being vague about it. If you want more information on that, I have a video on Atlantis. I will link it down below. You can watch that for more clarity on what I'm basically referencing. But so he's in the club. He has an elevated vantage point. He knows what's going on. Is he participating in it? No. He's not in the gold tiered members room. He's on the grounds of the club, but he's not like in the club. So just for anybody who wanted some clarification on that. Yes, I know his mom is a model now. And yes, I know, I have seen the images as well. His mom has been flashing some of the hand gestures that one would flash to indicate that they are in the club. I actually have not seen that his mom is in the club either. His mom is like having this renewal in herself now that she's like in the older years of her life. She's having like this personal renewal, and she's like, wow, I'm a model, like people love me. She doesn't really get it, okay? She doesn't actually even know that she's being used as a pawn, and she doesn't know that she's being used as a pawn to connect or make it appear as if he is in the club as well. So she doesn't know that that is how she's being used. Elon may know it, but again, like his mom is living her best little like golden years renewal of her life. She's a model and she's loving it. She's really enjoying it. Please understand that she's being used as a pawn. I don't see her being in the club. I even looked into the father as well to see if he was in the club. I haven't seen that they're in the club at all. Elon is like in it without really being in it. Because again, his intentions for humanity at this time is pure, is good, is clear. He just wants to help with the evolution of humanity. He's not like spending his time doing like shady shit. Okay, so let's also move on from there. Yeah, he knew it was a matter of time until the pendulum would swing and people that would adore him would start to despise him. We're very much there. Okay, he doesn't have any ego in understanding that he has an elevated vantage point. Yes, he knows he sees the world differently than other people. He is intentionally aloof, and you might be like, well, wait a minute, Faye. He's had a lot of relationships. He have a lot of kids. How can he be aloof? Come on, y'all. Don't even ask that question. Like, who here doesn't know somebody that is has a insecure attachment style or has an avoidant personality, and they're just like hooking up left, right, and center with everybody in their little town, but they're committing to none. It's like the same thing. Come on. I'm not saying he's just hooking up like left, right, and center. I'm saying that it actually connects to the soul's purpose in being here. So let me get to that, and then I'll go back and I'll explain that. So first of all, I believe this is actually going to be his last incarnation here on Earth. And the reason for that is it was very much his soul's purpose. And that's why he was having all of these other incarnations where it was like devastation, death, destruction, wars, famine. Like he has just not had like fantastic previous incarnations. That was with the express purpose of getting him to step fully into his power and to be like, I'm making a difference in this life. Coach, put me in the game. Not like sitting back idly being like, my team is behind, yeah, whatever, they're gonna lose. No. I wanna make a contribution, put me in. So his soul's arc and the entire purpose of him not having these easy incarnations was to get him to step into his power. So now that his soul has achieved its purpose in this incarnation, I do believe that it is going to be his last. And I do believe on some soul level he knows that as well. And I also do believe that is why he has a lot of kids. Because if he understands on a soul level that he's going to go from here, he's trying to reproduce and have children and leave behind as much as he can. So that way when he goes, there is something here behind that is left of him. And again, understand, this is also further proof that it's not like an ego-based, he's not an ego-based person. Because obviously we're going to say that history will remember him. He's going to be in the history books. First of all, he's very newsworthy. So history and newspapers and everything like that is going to have a lot of information on him. But it's not about that. It's not about, I've made an impression on the world. History will remember me. I will be in history books. No. It's, I've made a contribution in this world because I have procreated, and my contribution is in the continuation of mankind. So that's further context in you understanding that he's not an ego-based driven person. He's not a megalomaniac. And actually I read an interview. It was fascinating. This told me so much about him. So somebody had actually once challenged him, someone who was interviewing had said to him, what if you're just a narcissist? And he laughed and he said, okay, if I'm a narcissist, at least I'm a useful one. Narcissists don't talk that way. If you challenge a narcissist, they're gonna like blow up in your face. They're gonna get all like offended and they're gonna be like, I'm not a narcissist, you're the narcissist, or whatever it is. But for him to take that in stride and to laugh at it and to turn it around and be like, okay, but at least I'm useful if I am one. Narcissists don't talk that way. Understand that. So he's not a narcissist. He's not a megalomaniac. He's not like here to try to bring down humanity. Him taking Twitter over was not like, and again, I'm not here to convince you guys. Like, there's room on this channel for everybody. So I'm not trying to convince you he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't have any stake or stock in Twitter. I'm not convincing you of anything. Like, if you don't like him, okay, don't like him. I'm just sharing that energetically his blueprint is not one that means harm for humanity. I mean, if you've made it this far, we're almost at 40 minutes. If you made it this far and the information that I have shared up until now, like, by now you probably have gotten the idea. All right, let's leave it at that. But so he very much just wants to leave, he wants to help save humanity. That's it. And again, I know that's being dramatic. It's not like humanity was going to crumble and it was going to be like the fall of the Roman Empire, except with Wi-Fi. I mean, I do love those memes when I see them. They crack me up. But it's just to say, first of all, that yes, one person can make a difference. Even if your name is not Elon Musk, even if you are not a billionaire, yes, one person can make a difference. It's also to say, if you feel like in your own life, this life, where you are watching this video right now, if you feel like, why am I getting into the same relationship with the same person every single time? It's the same person, they just have a different body and they have a different name. Or this was me. Why am I getting into the same job over and over again? It's the same job, it's just a different company and it's just a different superior on the job. I cannot tell, I had so many jobs like that in a 4-year period. And it was like, hello, what's the lesson here? It's not the job that's the problem, it's me. So, but not that we're problems. It's just to say that when we realize we are getting into the same situation over and over again, and it's a different person or a different job or it's whatever it is, but this only common denominator is us in all of it. At the moment we realize that, that is our opportunity to change it and say, till here, but no further. And that was what his soul came to do. He had all of those incarnations where he was disempowered. And then he realized, I may be one person, but I can stop it. Till here, but no further. So if you are watching, if you made it to this point, we're just at the 40-minute mark right now. If you are watching this and you are feeling like you are living your life on repeat in certain circumstances and situations, don't just do it like Nike. Just do it like Elon. Say till here, but no further. And make the positive changes, because that may be your soul's arc as well. And it may be your soul purpose in this incarnation as well. So as always, guys, I hope that you have found this video to be maybe thought-provoking, maybe enlightening, maybe you thought it was a bunch of crap. Whatever, take what resonates and leave the rest behind. And as always, until next time, stay in the high vibration.